Hello guys, and welcome to another video. So today I want to talk about how to set up the LinkedIn conversion API, GTM client side and GTM server side, and also at the same time to be GDPR compliant. How we do it? Let's dive right into it. So first of all, what we want to do is we want to replicate two tags that I've set up in the past already for my own benefit, of course. And these two tags are the LinkedIn Insight tag for tracking page views, and there will be a LinkedIn Insight tag for tracking specific events, in this case, a button click. So how do we start with that? We will just go into our client-side environment. I've also opened my server-side environment up here, but we start the process client-side, then we move on to server-side, and I will give you quite a few explanations in terms of also first-party tracking, third-party tracking, first-party requests, and third-party requests, and why actually the server-side environment setup is so important for tracking LinkedIn conversion API or enabling LinkedIn conversion API. Of course, the main benefit for this is that you get better tracking on your LinkedIn ads. So for example, if somebody blocks your cookies or the cookies in their browser, right? For example, somebody clicks a LinkedIn ad, your LinkedIn ad lands on your website and has an ad blocker installed, then if you do not run server-side tagging in the way that I've set it up here, then you will lose this tracking capability, which is an issue because you will not see somebody clicked the ad, you store the cookie, somebody converted later on, this cookie is still on the user's browser. Now you can stitch it together. If you do not set it up via server-side tracking or GTM server-side, then you lose some visibility on a user journey, and basically the server-side GTM tracking enabling the LinkedIn conversion API will take care of that. Not entirely, but to a good extent. Okay, so what do? We start building a LinkedIn Insight tag. I got it in here, or you can actually use the template gallery as well. Sometimes loads a little bit slow, so let's hope it's coming up quickly. So yeah, here we go. We type LinkedIn Insight tag by LinkedIn. We will use that, choose the template, and partner ID. That's what we need first. I guess first I will name this. I will name it new, and I will call it LinkedIn Insight tag. Then we will go in here, we will search for the partner ID. So I went over to my account. So if you go to overview, you will land here. Then you go to conversion tracking. These are the two events that I've set up already, but I want to replicate them and show you how I did it from scratch. So I will go to create conversion. I will go to Insight tag conversion, right? And I will name this first or this event schedule session click, right? Because it will be exactly this. Okay, we will not use this. We will not use this. We will use that. Sorry, we will set a category as schedule. We will not use the value here. We will have the attribution window set to 30-day click and 1-day view. This should also match your server-side event that we will set up in a few minutes as well. We will go to next step. We will then go to tag manager. And here we can find our partner ID, which we will need. So we will head back into here. We will basically, you can set that up as a variable that you can use over and over again by going to the plus, searching for constant, adding in the value, naming it LinkedIn partner ID, and you're all good to go. I've done that already, so I'm not going to do that again. So I have it in here somewhere, LinkedIn partner ID. Next step is the conversion ID here, which we do not need because we are setting up the LinkedIn Insight tag just for track page views. By default, this tag is tracking page views, so we do not have to do anything here. Further down here, we will need to add an event ID later on for deduplication, but that's not something that we bother with just now. We will also have to set the consent settings to require additional consent for the tag to fire. Otherwise, we wouldn't be GDPR compliant, right? We do not have any built-in checks here. As you can see, there's no line here saying built-in checks or something. So we actually have to set it up ourselves. So as this is LinkedIn is an ad platform and we use it for ads, or a marketing platform, we will use ad storage, and the trigger will be cookie consent update. So this is the cookie here. Also refer back to my other videos. I've got 2 videos that just deal with cookie consent update. It's basically called, I think, cookie consent update part 1 and cookie consent update part 2. And you will find all the details in terms of how to set this up. So we will save this. Let me just check. It's all in there. Yep, should be fine. Cool. So now we have created these new LinkedIn Insight tag. As a second step, we also want to create the session button click tag. Basically, where do I have it? This one here, schedule session click. So as you can see, I paused them for now, so it doesn't interfere with our setup, and we know what we're looking at easier, so to speak. So let's go to new. Let's also create a new LinkedIn Insight tag, but name it schedule session click. And the tag configuration will be also utilizing the LinkedIn Insight tag here. We will add our partner ID, which we have stored in here anyway, LinkedIn partner ID. The conversion ID, now that's an important one. So we go back to our setup. So in this case, we chose Tag Manager because that's what we're doing, right? We're setting it up through Tag Manager, Google Tag Manager. Now, this will be an event. So I will click to event, and this actually opens up this conversion ID for Google Tag Manager. So this is for the web event. We copied this ending 321. We will add that into here. And that's it from that perspective. Here again, the event ID, which will we add later on. And then the consent settings again, where we have to add additional consent for the tag to fire. This is add storage as well. And the firing trigger here in this case, of course, is schedule a free session button click. Okay, we will save that, and let me just show you what that actually means. Schedule a free session button click. So this is my website. As you can see here, I have this button here, schedule a free session. Whenever somebody clicks that, this tag should fire. How did I set that up? I went to inspect. I went into, into this developer tools section. Basically, that's a bit small. Sorry, let's make that a little bit different here so we can actually see that. So if I click this button here, you can see this code, the button class, and parts of this button class are actually used as a firing trigger. I could have used click text or something as well, but that's just what I did real quick. So that's one of the ways you can do it. And that basically should fire this event whenever somebody clicks the button. Okay, so we have both in here now. We can now test the setup by going to preview. We will talk about this later on as well. So we will need that. So I'm putting in my URL, my domain, and let's see what happens. So it loads my page. Okay, we are not consenting to anything yet, which can be reflected here. So these two are actually, or this one at least, is just a cookieless ping. These ones I have no consent settings enabled for now, but don't bother about these ones. Just these two are actually mainly important. But even in our case, we want to see the LinkedIn Insight tag. So let's see where it is. So the new LinkedIn Insight tag didn't fire, and this new LinkedIn Insight tag for schedule session click didn't fire either. Why not? Because our consent settings are set to denied, or we didn't consent to anything yet. So we will now allow all. Okay, and let's go back to our environment and let's see what happened here. So if we go to the summary, we can now see in here the new LinkedIn Insight tag fired. And let's also see if the schedule session click will fire as well. Let's go back here. And what can we see? Where is it? Over here, the new LinkedIn Insight tag schedule session click fired as well. So as you saw before, real quickly, in the domain up here, let's close that maybe again. And this one too. When I went to debug or to preview this, my URL was a little bit different. I had something like $li, something like that inside. Meaning, why did I do that? The main reason is, so if you run LinkedIn ads and a person clicks onto one of your ads and they are directed to your website, then by default, LinkedIn will add a query string, a query parameter, which will be something like that. li_fat_id and then a value. We can actually check that out on a real ad, so you 100% understand. This is just basically I'm replicating this process, but it's not a real ad. So let me just go back in here. Not sure what happened here. So if you go into, not here, but onto a real ad that I have been running, this is a really bad ad. I just ran it for a few impressions to see if it works or not. So if you click here on attend, you can see already up here in the URL string that this li_fat_id actually populated with a code or with a numbers and text. And this ID is unique to that particular user. And that's basically what I tried to replicate in here by, going to, did I not do that here now? Okay, maybe I didn't. By replicating this URL here. So if I go to preview again, I think I didn't load it. And if I go to $li, then we can add any string in here what we want, but that's just for manual, for illustration purposes. Of course, actually on a real ad, it would look like something like that. li_fat_id and this longer string in here. Okay. So I'm just explaining that so you know where this logic comes from. If you now, for example, look into inspect and you would want to have a look at the cookies under applications, let's make this a little bit taller again. And if you look at create digital down here, and if you scroll down, you will now find this li_fat_id in here. And that's exactly the one that we have up here. Okay. So we will need that. So why do we need that? Because this is basically tracking for LinkedIn, tracking purposes. So a user clicks your ad, lands on your site, a cookie is set on their browser. That will be the cookie that's not set on my browser. And if that user comes back 10 days later under a 30-day click window, 10 days later, and converts now, then we again have this cookie ID allocated there, and we know exactly that this user clicking 10 days ago is the same user. Okay, that's why it's so important. You can also see that in my regards, as this cookie has been firing basically or set on my browser, it is treated as on my own domain, which means it's a first party cookie. Okay, so for cookie purposes or looking at it from a cookie perspective, it is a first party cookie. Okay, so let's go further. Let's go back to this section here and let's explore this a little bit more. So we have done this. We have checked if the cookie is actually, firing. The tag is firing, the tags are firing, and we can also see that the cookie information is being stored. We can actually go back into here. We can actually try that again. As you can see here now, the li_fat_id is ABCD because I just changed it. I just manually put that in there. You can do the same thing and it should show up here, as you can see. So that's the one. Okay, so that's cool. So we can confirm that, which is a necessity. So if your setup does not include that, then you have to have a closer look what's not working yet. Okay, so next step, we will go to our server-side environment and we will have a look at our recommended setup here. Okay, so let's head over to our server-side Google Tag Manager and let's have a look how we set this up here. So I've also posted those two again, which I've set up already, and basically we will just replicate them and yeah, let's see how it goes. So let's click on new. Let's look at this first one here. Let's call it LinkedIn page view, and it will be new. And the tag configuration will now be the LinkedIn conversion API. So you might have to go to your template gallery and find it there. And then basically just search for LinkedIn conversion API, LinkedIn, and the one from Stape I'm using. Click that one, choose the template, you got it in here. So now the thing that's now important to understand. So in this case, we will build a page view tag first. Why do we do that? Because in some cases, if your user or like the person that clicks on an ad lands on your website and uses ad blockers, then we can kind of circumvent that in a way that we still pass the LinkedIn click ID over to our server-side environment, but you have to choose page view here. And this actually only works if you actually have set up your environment in a way that you are requesting the URL through your own subdomain, not through Google Analytics subdomain. So what do I mean by that? Let me just show you this real quickly. Let's go to my website again. Let's look at the network tab here. So as you can see, if you type in the collect question mark V is into here and refresh the page, you will see all the requests that come through. Okay. So which request comes through? For example, we can see here, there's one from LinkedIn. So that was because we triggered those page views, right? And the session click, right? The button click. And you can also see this request here. I'm not sure why this is in here. I think maybe because we had our consent settings to denied initially, so it was blocked. But down here, you can see that a request comes through, request URL, that actually includes events.createdigital.at and not how it's usually on most websites. It would be analytics, it would be regions1.analytics, googleanalytics.com or something, which would be an indicator for it being actually a third-party request, because of course Google Analytics is not your domain, right? It's a third party and it's Google. So you can basically, how should I say, you can map a request in a way that it actually shows up as a first party request. As you can see here now, this is my subdomain, which now looks like this request comes in from my own domain, but it actually doesn't. It's actually routed through the Google Cloud platforms, or actually, or Google in general. But I'm basically changing it in a way. You can do that in your Google Cloud platform. You have to change a few settings. You have to change your CNAME records. You have to add a few new parameters within your GA4 config tag. And if you have done all of that, I think there may be one or two other steps involved. And once you have that, then you're basically having a first party request, which is exactly this, another third party request. The good thing about that is, and that's what you actually should do yourself as well, is you can basically, with this approach, not ensure 100%, but to a high percentage that cookies are not being blocked. Because in reality, these cookies here, they are first party, that's correct, but they can still be blocked. And if your request URL is third party, actually, basically, these first-party cookies can't be blocked because they are on my domain. But if the request to send over these first-party cookies goes through, then this request can be blocked, and then you will not see actually these this Lee FAT ID in your server-side environment. So it's very important actually to set up your requests in a way that they are actually first party. But I guess if you really want to know how that works, and I would recommend you set that up, you can also do it with Stape.io. It's way easier that way. But if you want to do it as I did on your Google Tag Manager platform or your Google Tag Manager server-side environment, and just through Google Tag Manager, then write a comment down in this video. If I get like 5 or 3 to 5 comments, then I will make a video on that and explain it step by step. I've actually opened a few tabs up here, so they just to really highlight. So you have to do something in your Cloud Run setup. You have to basically map your domain. In your DNS records, you have to add a new CNAME record. And then in your Google Analytics config tag, you have to add a few credentials as well to make it work. And then there's a few other things. You have to change your admin. In your admin section, you have to change your server URL to not use the server URL from Google, which is something like app Google Run or something. I can't remember. You have to change that. But yeah, write a comment down there. If I get at least three to 5 comments, then I will make a video on that as well. Okay, so my environment is set up in a way already it makes sense, and it is how it should be. So let's go into here again. So as mentioned, this page view event type you can only use if you actually have set up first party requests. So let's go further and let's have a look. So all these other settings do not apply. We do not have to do anything. The only thing is the triggering. The triggering will be on all pages with consent. So because of course we need user consent, we can't just fire the event, because that would not be GDPR compliant. So we will save this. And now we will set up a new event, which will be new, and we will, new, and we will call it LinkedIn, and I will call it schedule session click or something, session click. And the tag configuration will be LinkedIn conversion API. And in this case, we want to use the conversion, right, type. So what do we need for that? We need a conversion rule ID. We need the access token. Okay, so we have to head back into our interface. So actually we haven't finished up the web one yet. So we will just use next step here and create this. So that's done now. The web event is done. Now we will basically create a new conversion, which will be the conversions API, or utilizing the conversions API. We will call this session schedule session click. We will call it new in front, and we will, it's a server event. It will be executed. So here we will use schedule. We will not put anything here as well. We will use a 30-day click window. So the attribution window being 30 days, and the view window or the view through window will be 1 day. So we will go to next step. Good. Now, as you can see here, it says select the data source. We want to do Google Tag Manager. That's correct. But the issue is here, it would automatically link Google Tag Manager and LinkedIn Campaign Manager together, and would automatically create these events within Google Tag Manager, which I do not want to. I want to manually add these, and down here you can see the skip button. We can utilize that. So we are actually not doing it in this case, because we will do it manually, right? So we've set up the schedule session click for the server, 30-day and 1-day window. Attribution model is last touch for each campaign, which is fine for me. And we will create this. Okay, so now we have created this one and this one, which is good. The only thing what we have to do now is we actually have to, we go back here, find out the access token and the conversion rule ID. So how do we do it? We refresh first of all. Then I will go to data. We can do that other one first. So we will go here. Now we have to go to data, sorry. We will go to Signals Manager. And then here we will go to Google Tag Manager, because that's how we said we're going to set it up, right, with Google Tag Manager. And as you can see here, it has been populated already, the server event, new schedule session click server. That's why I also needed to refresh. And here we can create the token. So this is the token. We'll copy it. We will close that. There's nothing else here. Let's accept that for now. And let's go back into our server environment. Let's create an access token, a new access token. I'm just gonna, I guess, not create like a variable for that. I could do that. And if you're on this now as well and want to set it up in a more easier or simpler way to reuse the access token, you could go ahead and use constant, add the access token string, call it access token, and utilize it in this way. I mean, I could perhaps do that access token, but I think I have a new access token here already. New, oh, maybe not. New access token. Let's save. Okay, I don't. So this is new access token, so I've added that. Now we need the conversion rule ID, so basically the conversion ID. Yep, so let's go back to our measurement. Let's go to our conversion tracking. Let's search the event that we've set up, the server one, the new one. We will go to those three dots. We will go to edit, and we will now look at the top URL where you can see accounts uses this ID, conversions uses this ID. So it's this number ending with a 9. Oop, just need to grab it. Okay. Oops, no. Was it this? Let me just refresh this real quickly. So we are 100% sure we're not using the wrong one. Yeah, okay, so it was this number here. So accounts conversion is here. Yeah, okay, so that's the one, conversions, and we will use this for our conversion rule ID. So let's add that here. Okay, one more important thing appears now. We will need to use this section here, user IDs override. So what we will do here is we will add a property. We will make use of the LinkedIn first party ads tracking. And in here, we will use the LinkedIn click ID. So I've done this already. I've already created this. So this is the LinkedIn click ID. So what are we basically doing here? We want to store the cookie in a variable and utilize it here. Okay, so we can then pass it on to our server-side environment. So it's the LinkedIn click ID. It's a cookie value, as you can see, and we want to utilize that. Other than that, constant settings, let me just check. Yeah, you can leave that on send data always. You could potentially do send data in case marketing consent given, but we will manage that anyway. So I leave that on send data always. Other than that, we will need to add the firing trigger, which will be the all pages with consent plus schedule session click. Okay, I think that's it. Let's save that. Okay. Real quick, I also wanted to go to the variable section here and show you the LinkedIn click ID, so which I have already created for you to create on your end by clicking LinkedIn click ID. And as you can see, I just chose the variable type as cookie value and the cookie name being the Lee FAT ID. Okay, that's all you do here. You then basically just save it and can then use it as I did in your LinkedIn event tag. Okay. Cool. Let's go back to tags. Let me just see if we have everything we need. I think we do. Let me just debug the entire setup. Let's just check if we have everything here. Yeah, let's preview this. Let's utilize the Lee FAT ID. Let's make it 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a bit different. Connect this. Okay. And then also on the server side, we will also preview. Okay, so let's see what happens here. So first of all, let's trigger this schedule a free session as well. So we can actually see that here. So what can we see here? We can see new LinkedIn insert tag fired 2 times because I accidentally actually refreshed. And then the new LinkedIn insert tag schedule session click also fired, which is exactly what we want, right? So that's cool. Let's head over to our server-side environment. We can see the page view triggered. The page view event was triggered. And we can see the tags here. And we can see that the new LinkedIn page view tag triggered on page view and the schedule session click triggered on schedule session click. So if we now have a look at let me just think, the Lee FAT FAT ID and see how it's stored. We can't see that at this stage. What we can see here is the other tags. Okay, all good. Let me just go back here. I think from that perspective, we should be fine. Here. Where is it? So the LinkedIn click ID should actually be visible here. So where can we see it? The LinkedIn click ID. Here, ID value. Here we can see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So LinkedIn first party ad tracking here, that's what I've set up in the server side LinkedIn tag. And the ID value is 1, 2, 3, 4 as up here in the Lee FAT ID. So we can now prove that actually this cookie that has been set on this browser has been forwarded into our server side environment and is available here. And the request has been sent over to LinkedIn server. Okay, so that's cool. What we are still missing now is that's also important to check in case you have a post 400 error here, 400 request here, then this would be an error. Then you have to check your setup. It has to be a 200 or 201. Okay, cool. Other than that, the page view, there's not much to talk about here. I think we have that set up. So what we're still missing is the event ID that we have to pass, right? So we want to make sure that also the event ID is being passed through to the LinkedIn server for deduplication reasons, correct? So because we will have a browser event, this browser event will be sent over to the LinkedIn server. Then we will have the server event through the GTM server side, right? Sent over to the LinkedIn server. And now we want them not to, double up, perhaps. We want them to be deduplicated, meaning if this event has browser event of 5 and server events have been recorded 7, then we want the first 5 ones that are identical to, match or be treated as 1 or like as 5 and not as 10, so to speak, right? And those 2 other ones, we can add them on top of that. But if you wouldn't use deduplication, you would end up potentially with 12 events that came through, which we don't want, right? Therefore, we need the event ID. Okay, so how do we do it? Actually, it's pretty simple. So as you probably remember from my meta conversion API video, basically the GA tags, the event tags, they actually send on the event ID for the respective event. Okay, so for example, let's say the page view will send on the event ID for this page view, and the GA4 event for the schedule session click will send on the event ID via this tag here. Now we also have to do it though for our new tags in the client-side environment. So actually in the end, we can be sure that, the browser sends it as well, but we do not have to do it from the server for the server-side environment. So if we go back to our server, we do not have to add the event ID in here because, as mentioned just before, these GA4 events, they will pass these event IDs on to the GTM server side, and these tags in here, the LinkedIn tag, etc., will take use of these and will then send them on to the LinkedIn server. So you do not have to set them up in the server side environment, but of course in the client side environment. So what we will do here is we will go inside here, open it, right? We will add an event ID here, which in our case will be a variable that I've built already. So let's see where it is. It's just called event ID, unique event ID in this case. We will just add that in here. We will save this LinkedIn Insight tag. We will do the same for our new LinkedIn Insight tag for the schedule session click. Click into here. We will go here. We will go on the plus, add the event ID, and we'll also save it. So now the only thing that you have to check here basically is that the corresponding events are also set up in GA4. So if you would just set them up here and you wouldn't have them here, then it doesn't work because this event here has to send it on, as mentioned, will be sending it onto your server-side environment. So if you don't set up event ID here, but you set it up in here, it won't work. And if you do not even have, for example, you don't even have a schedule session click event in GA4, then you have to set it up and add the event ID in here. So let's just check that if we have it in here. So if you go to your page view, GA4 event page view, I can see here event ID is event ID, right? So I've already added this parameter, and then for the schedule session click, we should have event ID in here as well. As you can see here, the parameter that we've added is event ID as event ID. So where do I get this event ID from? It seems like a ghost, right? Just appeared. So if you go to variables, and then not go to configure, but go to new down here. You can see it here already. It's an event ID, but let's just replicate that. So you go into variable configuration. You go to your community template gallery. You open it. And as before, you just have to search for it. Event. As you can see here, there are a few event IDs here. There's this one here, this one here, this one here. I use this unique event ID from State.io. Of course, it's unique because every request that comes through will be unique, will have a unique number, right? So you can use this here and then choose the template and it will be added. I'm not going to do that here because I've done that already, but once you have it in here, or let's just do that real quickly. So event, let me just do it real quickly, event, so it's 100% clear. So I'm going to use this, I'm going to choose this template, up, and then down here, just name it, event ID. No configuration required, save it and done. That's it. Discard, I don't need that. Let's go back to the tag. Okay, so looking at that, we've set up the event IDs for here. We have not set them up on the server-side environment. As mentioned, they will be inherited kind of from the GA4 event tags in our client side, and they will then be utilized here and be passed on to your LinkedIn server-side environment. Yeah, let's test this whole thing. Leave. Did we actually publish this? Yeah, we did, I think. Accept, update. I think we did, right? So anyhow, it's already active. That's cool because we clicked it before. So I think it must be working, but let's just test that. Preview. Let's close this. Let's do it with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 this time. Okay, it's loading. Cool. Let's do the same for the server side. Nope. Let's click it. Okay. Let's go back in here. Let's trigger the schedule a free session. Let's go back in here and let's see if it came through. So what can we see here now? We can see the LinkedIn Insight tag fired, also the LinkedIn schedule session click fired, which is what we want, right? So look here. So when we click on message where this tag fired, we want to see the event ID here. And as we can see here, we have an event ID ending with 8620. Okay, so that's good. 8620. So they fired. Happy with that. Let's go back to our server-side environment. We can see this was not fired. So the page view hasn't fired. Has fired now? No, sorry. Page view, yeah. So let's look at the schedule session click now. So this is the new LinkedIn schedule session click, and let's see if it also ends with 8620. So we have to go into our API, and then we can see somewhere here 8620 for the event ID. So yeah, so that seems to work. That's cool. We can also check the Lee FAT ID, which also came through as the ID value 12345, which we have set in our browser in here, up here, right? So that works as well. So from that perspective, we also got a status code 201, which is exactly how it should be. And yeah, I think that makes all sense. So our tags fired, this one fired here as well. Yeah, so I think that's it from this video. I hope that was helpful. If you want to learn more about Google Analytics, GTM, Google Ads, etc., then feel free to subscribe to this channel. Or helps me, helps you, helps everyone out there. And if you, as mentioned, would like to have a video on how you can change your request URL from a third-party request to a first-party request in your own domain, please add a comment down there. That would be really cool, because if nobody needs that or nobody wants to do that, I'm not going to make a video on that. Hope that was helpful, and keep watching, keep learning. Bye-bye.